Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns just had their big face-to-face on Smackdown, and a lot was said. So we'll get into that. We'll also take a look at some new Naomi vs. Sonya related topics, Rhea Ripley, and much more. Let's start things off with Rhea Ripley because there's a lot of discussion around her right now. Rhea came into the WWE as one of the youngest superstars on the entire roster. She was a standout star at the Mae Young Classic, breakout star in NXT UK, and was dominant once again in the Ordinary NXT. Rhea was finally called up in mid-2021, right around WrestleMania season. With Charlotte unexpectedly being out for WrestleMania 37, WWE turned to Rhea Ripley as the emergency backup plan to replace Charlotte and face Asuka. Although that feud ended with Rhea Ripley becoming Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania, fans thought it was a bit strange because there was no chase or journey to the title for Rhea Ripley. She debuted on Raw, automatically demanded a WrestleMania title match without doing anything on Raw, and became champion a few short weeks after her debut. So she never really had a journey or struggle to the title because she was just instantly champion after her debut. Rhea feuded with Charlotte for a bit and eventually lost the title shortly after that. Then Rhea Ripley randomly started teaming with Nikki Cross, and that brings us to current day. Everyone expected Rhea Ripley to turn on Nikki and become this monster heel force that definitely fits her character. But as a way to catch everyone off guard, we instead got a cheap twist where Nikki was the one that turned on Rhea. That definitely seemed done for the shock factor element since everyone assumed Rhea would turn. So Rhea stays as a babyface thanks to the attack from Nikki, but sort of comes off as being a bit soft for even allowing Nikki to do that to her. Seeing Rhea's entire main roster run so far has gotten fans and former WWE personalities a bit confused on her usage, or lack thereof. Renee Paquette was recently a guest on Busted Open Radio and discussed about how she couldn't believe someone as gifted as Rhea got lost in the shuffle. Renee had this to say, quote, "Can you believe that's a thing for Rhea Ripley? I can't believe it. She's incredible. She's just like this perfect package that is ready to go. She's young, but she's so adaptive. I think she's incredible. I can't believe that she's somebody that could have, for a second, fallen between the cracks." End quote. Renee has a point, and that's just how it seemed. It seemed like the random tag team with Nikki Cross was a way of saying, well, we have nothing else for Rhea to do right now. And that's not really a surprise. We see superstars get called up with no plans in place at all. See Toni Storm and Xia Li for recent examples of that. Former WWE writer Vince Russo recently spoke with Sportskeeda and also discussed his issues with how Rhea has been used. He even claims that she could have been used in a role like WWE legend Chyna. Just this dominant force that could have even been hired by even a male superstar. He named Finn Balor as his perfect example. Someone that notices Rhea Ripley's dominance and says, I need her to watch my back, just like Chyna did for a handful of WWE superstars. So that's all the discussion going on right now with Rhea Ripley. Now that the tag team has been split, we're about to find out if they have any more plans for her on Raw. The Naomi and Sonya Deville story had a few more segments this week, so let's see what's new there. Naomi enters Sonya Deville's office to confront her once again. Naomi cuts Sonya off and says that everything Sonya says about her is a lie. Naomi says Sonya toying with her is one thing, but Sonya getting in the way of her career and ruining her match against a champion is something that she's not going to let slide. Naomi says that she still doesn't know why Sonya hates her this much and is about to fight her. Sonya once again reminds her that she's not allowed to put her hands on her as long as she has that jacket on. Sonya then makes a big reveal and tells Naomi why she's been doing this to her. Sonya says that Naomi has main character syndrome and walks into Sonya's office thinking that she's always the main character, when in reality, she's just an extra. Sonya then tells Naomi to leave before facing a fine, Royal Rumble removal, or just a complete firing. Then, there was this weird little subplot about Sonya's office having thermostat issues and how it was freezing cold in her office during that confrontation with Naomi. Strangest part about this subplot is that Sonya and Pearce, who are in full long-sleeve suits, complain about the office being cold, but Naomi, who's in short-sleeve cut-up ring gear, doesn't acknowledge the office being cold at all. So that was a bit strange, just a little inconsistency there. If you're going to build up that story, Naomi should have acknowledged it being cold as well. But since Adam Pearce messed with the thermostat, we check in later with Sonya's office and now it's too hot in the office, which makes Sonya take her jacket off. Since Sonya always stressed that Naomi can't put her hands on her as long as she has the jacket on, Naomi came storming into the room to put hands on Sonya as soon as the jacket came off. This was a bit weird as well. It's not story-breaking plot holes, but how did Naomi know to enter Sonya's office at that exact time? Was she just poking her head through the door of Sonya's office all night, waiting for her to take that jacket off? The timing there was just perfectly strange. Sonya gets hot, takes her jacket off, and Naomi is there, in her face, half a second later. So Naomi was about to put her hands on Sonya, but finally Adam Pearce gets involved in the situation and decides to give Naomi her rematch against Charlotte, which calms Naomi down for now. And this was it for the story, so we'll see what happens next week and if Sonya will discover another way to interfere with Naomi. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins had their big face-off on Smackdown. WWE hyped up the face-off all night long by replaying classic moments between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Seth mentions how he's always beating Roman Reigns when there's a WWE title on the line, but Roman counters by telling him that things are much different nowadays and how he's the provider around here now. Roman calls himself the greatest Universal Champion of all time and greatest to ever do it. Seth says that Roman didn't get all of his titles and main events by himself. Seth mentions how he was climbing the ladder in the wrestling industry while Roman was playing in the CFL. Roman calls Seth a clown and says he'll never reach the levels he's reached. Roman also says that he'd rather face Becky Lynch at Royal Rumble over Seth Rollins. That's when an attack from the Usos starts to unfold. But Seth Rollins survives the attack and outsmarts the Bloodline. Seth takes the Usos down, runs back into the ring to face off against Roman, and quickly runs to the ramp before the Usos got back up. Seth's music plays and we fade to black. So when it comes to that segment there, you can argue about who won the war of words. But when it comes to the closing moments, Seth most definitely won. Seth made the Bloodline look like a joke by escaping a 3-on-1 attack. His music was also the one to play at the end, sort of signifying that he was the victor of that little failed attack. So now, this gives Roman some reasoning to be upset with the Usos for their failed attack, and maybe the Bloodline will have to try harder to get their hands on Seth Rollins. Seth was with Roman for so many years and basically knows Roman's entire playbook. Roman will have to come up with something completely new that Seth Rollins wouldn't see coming in order to get at him. So we'll have to keep our eye out on that. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.